Hey there, folks. Are you ready for some more? We're going to continue on, and we're going to take some time to think more about how we understand our strengths better and how we can develop them or put them to work. And in order to do that, we're going to jump right into an activity rather than me talking more. And I want you to now think about your strengths, parent. Think about your strengths, and then we'll have you think about your son or daughter's strengths, or have them do this activity as well. So let's think about strengths in the past. I want you to journal on this. Write down what periods of your life have you been most successful. Why were you successful, and what strengths were you using? You have some definitions and words now for your strengths because you took the assessment. I want you to think about those. What strengths were you using, and how were they helpful? And what can you do right now to repeat that success? And then I want you to create a habit. Go into the habit section, create a new habit, something you can do daily, weekly, to develop and repeatedly use that strength to create repeated and ongoing success. Create a habit, and then your coach will be able to look at that. Now I want you to think about your son and daughter, or if you can get them to do this activity themselves, even better. Have them journal, take a physical journal, or work here on this platform. Either way, I'll be happy to add them to the platform. Depends on how much cooperation you have. Don't want to push it too much. So that's your activity. I want you to start thinking about that. Think about strengths in the past and now moving them to the present. The biggest misconception about strengths is that we start with strengths. We start with talents, with natural talents, things that we're good at, ways that we are fearfully and wonderfully made. And then we identify those things, and then we take them and develop them. Just like we might have some natural physical abilities, speed, say we run fast, strength. In order to be most effective with those things, we need to develop them so that they're not just raw talents, but real developed talents or strengths. We go to the gym, we do agility exercises, whatever. Same thing with our strengths. We need to do exercises to help them grow and be changed. And practice is really the only way to do this. Let's look at a very successful athlete. Extremely successful. Do you know who this guy is? Michael Phelps. He won an awful lot of Olympic medals, and he worked with a coach who helped him practice things that would help him to get better. Again, let's take baseball for me. Baseball, if you want to be a better hitter, you can go in the batting cages and you can just put the ball on the tee and you can hit 1,000 balls off the tee. But if you don't have somebody helping you figure out what to do to improve, you can just repeat the same old practice. Practice in and of itself, practicing the wrong way, does not make you better. It does, maybe a little bit in the sense with hitting a baseball, your hand-eye coordination just is going to improve. But if there's some things in your technique, in your swing that are not good, you're not going to make much progress unless you have someone help you figure out how to do that. Some people can figure it out on their own, but we need to practice specifically things that will help us improve. Michael Phelps, he was very good at having his coach develop things that he could do, and he ended up being willing to do things that nobody else would do in terms of the amount of work he put in to be the best. Amazing guy. Daniel Goleman has written this book called Focus, the Hidden Driver of Excellence, and he makes the point that just repetitive practice. There's this theory out there called 10,000 hours. You put 10,000 hours in to anything and you're going to get better. Not necessarily. You have to practice the right way. And he quotes Erickson. He argues that the secret of winning is deliberate practice, where an expert coach takes you through well-designed training over months or even years, and you give it your full concentration. So you have to give your full concentration, and you have to do things that specifically help you improve. Sometimes it's hard to come up with those kind of things yourself. You really need somebody who knows what they're doing to coach you and guide you. I don't know why we don't work more with coaches and someone to support us in this whole area of parenting. Maybe one of the most difficult things there is to do in all of life is parent another human being. You know, in sports and other things, we know we need a coach, but it's the parenting. Why don't we work with a coach? I think we're afraid. We've had too many experiences with people who are, just tell us what to do. There's only one way to do it, and cookie cutter approach and stuff. And we've gotten hurt or burned by that in the past. Also afraid, and some of us are afraid that we might be just doing things wrong, and we don't have that pointed out. It's embarrassing. We don't want anybody to point out. We don't want anybody messing with our parenting. But folks, we need it. We need help. It's not something you can do alone. It's tough. So I compliment you again that you're working with a coach. You're working in this. This is a new approach for us of helping provide some guidance and support and coaching without it costing you a fortune. I hope you're enjoying it. I hope it's going well for you. Oftentimes we start with a question like this, when we think about our strengths, what am I better at than anyone else? That's really not the right question. It's the wrong question. And why is that? It's because it forces us into comparison. Theodore Roosevelt said, comparison is the thief of joy. I think this is a real challenge for parents, for us as parents. We're always looking at the other parents and what they're doing and what their kids are doing and how they're succeeding, and we get jealous. We want to keep up with the Joneses, right, or the Smiths. It's really not helpful. It brings forth a lot of anxiety and then depression if we don't feel like we're doing well. Better to compare ourselves against ourselves. And think about our strengths and how we can be the best that we can be. There's an organization called the Positive Coaching Alliance. They did a lot of research and found that even for Olympic athletes, the Olympic athletes that went to the Olympics with the goal of winning a gold medal didn't do as well as the athletes who went with the goal of doing their very best, setting a personal best time, placing better than they ever had. Competing against themselves, not as much competing against somebody else. It really helped drive their whole focus. They didn't make mistakes as much. They did better. Forward, I think, there. When it comes to your child, then, you can have them write in their journal and create, let's have a very specific habit now. Side note, if your child would like to get on the habit platform and use the platform, we can do that. So you could discuss that with them. Here's what we want them to do. I want them to list their dominant and supporting themes. The first 4. From the assessment, take it right from the assessment. And then to consider these dominant themes. And you got a couple things to do there. You can talk that over with them. We want them to then choose a habit with one. Choose one of those dominant themes. Can be a one that you're aware of and one that you're not aware of. But I think for the most part, one that you're not aware of is probably helpful. My ball player, he's very aware of his Energizer habit, and he didn't have to work on that one too much. The thinker, he has to work on more. Then we're going to do a concrete, repeatable habit. For him, it's going to be very specifically anytime he's in between plays, in between pitches, waiting for the next thing to happen, he needs to engage his thinker and think about, what am I supposed to do if the play comes to me? What am I supposed to do? And as it gets older, it'll get more complicated. But that's what I'm going to do now. And when he's going to do it is anytime on the baseball field that he is waiting for things to happen. His mom or dad may decide that to work on another thing. You may decide to work on another thing with him in a different context. That's okay. I used baseball as an illustration of one of the things that I'm going to do with this young man. Specific habit, when and where. Again, if you have any problems with this, or you're not sure what to do and how to help, how to recommend and how to suggest things to your son or daughter, send us a message. We will try to help you with that. Okay, so now we're getting towards the end here. In the world of strengths, Clifton Strengths by Gallup in particular, when strengths coaches talk about strength, we talk about first naming them, giving them a name, having a common vocabulary so that we can refer to them. Other people understand it, we understand it, parents understand it, kids understand it. And then claiming it, embracing it as our own, owning it. And then we talk about aiming it. Now, various contexts, various arenas of our life. Work, school, home, sports, friends. We want to apply it to a particular situation, particular arena. I would say that when you think about applying them, I mean, the exercise I just gave you is really doing that. But think about an area that maybe is a challenge. Maybe in the arena for your child is a sibling relationship where the one strengths, the other strengths are different and they cause problems. Maybe it's between you and your child. Maybe they're having problems at school. Not uncommon. Understanding strengths and then helping the other person understand their strengths and then understanding each other's strengths. Oh, what a wonderful thing. What a wonderful thing that is. I'll tell you about another young man I worked with. And he and I have gotten to be good friends. We don't see each other very often, unfortunately, but he's 10 now. He took the Clifton Explorer assessment. So the language is a little different if you've taken the Incredible Kids. But basically, you'll get it. His top strength is future thinker. He's not just thinker, but he likes to dream and think about things that could be. He loves to build Legos and thinks he's always thinking about what kind of a new Lego structure he can make. And he's a discoverer. He likes to figure out how things work. He's thinking right now that he wants to be an engineer. He's thinking about building things, designing things. But math, sitting down to do math, so this is the arena of schoolwork, is not easy for him. It's more of a mundane task that he doesn't connect to that future thinking. It's just taking him away from his future thinking and dreaming. We used to call these kids like this dreamers. Well, dreamers can get things done. It's a great thing. We wouldn't have ever gone to the moon or done other things if somebody hadn't dreamt about it. Wouldn't have ever had machines that gave us ability to fly if somebody hadn't dreamed about how it could be. We need dreamers. But a dreamer needs to understand, and this young man wants to be an engineer. Not going to be a very good engineer if he doesn't understand some math. So helping him understand how math is going to help him get to his future dream. This is extremely helpful for this young man. Now, math is not such a challenge for him. It still is. But as he sees math helping him get to his other goals, he's become a changed guy. So that's fun, huh? So much that we can do with this area of strengths. I gave you an assignment. Make sure you do that assignment and make sure you write it down on the Habit platform so your coach can see it, interact with you about it. If you're having any questions about how to do any of this, feel free to ask. We'll be happy to help. Next time, we're going to take a step back from strengths and we're going to talk about the why. Why is this shift? And focusing on strengths, shifting to emotional intelligence, developing the frontal cortex of our brain. Why is that so important? Why do we need to do that? Then after that, we'll come back to strengths, but we're going to come back to strengths and look at it in terms of what do we do with the weaknesses, the things that are not our top strengths? How do we compensate? How do we manage them so they're not problems in our lives? That's going to be fun. Then you have there's an additional bonus session that you have access to, and that's about the impact of screens, or it's called the screens epidemic. Don't miss that. Make sure you watch that. I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself now, but I hope you have a good time continuing to understand your sons and or daughters and your own strengths. Let us know if you have any questions.